This season of anime wasn't half bad. Not only did you have the most lo-fi anime has ever been in Hinsan is Indecipherable, and an even bigger waste of a voice actress in Komi Can Communicate, both shows that I thought to have started well but have lost their footing towards the end. You also had the critically acclaimed Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2, and also of course Spy X Family. But I feel like while all of these have been great, there's one that I think trumps them all and is currently in line to be my anime of the year. And that being, of course, Shikimori is not just a cutie. Have you looked at this frame? Jesus Christ. No, just kidding. Of course I'm talking about Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Ultra Romantic. But am I overhyping it? Or did they manage to make the third season bigger and better than anything else before? Join me as we talk about Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Everybody Wins. They say everything is fair in love and war. But what if love is war? Socrates. Probably. Nah, just joking. It's actually Obama who said that. A lot of other episodic series tend to have seasons almost indistinguishable in terms of story and overall structure. A great example of that would be my favorite anime of all time, Gintama. But even though I love that show to my core, I have to admit that most episodes from the first few seasons are very interchangeable and don't really have any narrative progression that you can immediately associate the episode or the season with. Kaguya-sama is not like that. Episodes from each season do seem to have a logical progression in terms of not only the number of important characters, but the character progression of each one of them. And I can't really show that better without talking about the intros. In general, anime intros do tell a story, but rarely have I seen them tell a story spread over multiple openings. Or perhaps I'm reading too much into it, but just for now, let me channel my inner Jeff from his mother's basement and do a What's in an OP for Kaguya-sama series. The first OP for the first season is an iconic opening that focuses mainly on our two protagonists and also a bit on the rest of the student council members. The main imagery from the opening, other than a dancing Fujiwara, which is obviously a highlight, is the two main characters using various weapons. For example, Kaguya brings out a bow, to which Shirogane's obvious reaction is to bring out a fucking rocket launcher. The weapons dominate the imagery of the OP, signifying how both the characters are treating this as a battle or, well, a war. But as we move on to the next one, it seems that the feeling might have changed just a bit. The second OP starts with Kaguya firing off an arrow in the direction of the president, which is the only weapon we catch in this OP. This OP helps build all the other characters along with humanizing the main ones. Instead of using bazookas and swords, the characters are using knives to cut vegetables and heart-shaped trees. It is less about a war now, as it is about endurance, who can last longer without confessing. The feelings are much more felt and mutual, and it feels like a logical progression to the overarching narrative. It even lines up with the name of the season, Kaguya-sama, Love is War, ? Also, I need to put over Miyazaki Suzuki here. His songs Love Me Mr. and Daddy Daddy Do have become synonymous with the openings of the anime. Also, the upgrade from Mr. to Daddy in just a season? Jesus Christ. The third OP, accompanied by Giri Giri by Suzuki, which is my personal favorite opening song, is probably also my favorite OP of the bunch. Immediately starting with the clock to signify the race against time for the main two characters, we can spot absolutely zero weapons throughout the entire OP. It's less of a war against each other as it is against time. Hell, even the room starts morphing to keep them apart. After getting to meet some of the side characters, some more important than others, we cut back to see a distance between Shirogane and Kaguya, which Kaguya tries to close by running towards him, a complete opposite of season 1. She runs through thick and thin to meet her president, and just as they are about to confess, the student council barges in and the whole fucking building collapses. Now, I'm not getting into that because I have zero idea about what that means, but at least you can see how the characters have changed and grown in just the openings itself. I feel like it needs to be said that Kaguya-sama is one of the more visually interesting shows in a long time. It's not a visually exceptional show, there are better looking shows of course, but the visual effects of the anime complements the comedic jokes exceptionally well. Comparing it to Komi-san for a second, and hang on with me on this one, if you have seen Komi-san, you would have noticed that there are various scenes in the anime that are replicated from the manga itself. And while that does have its own charm, it has started to feel like they just started to animate over the manga itself instead of adding something to it. It's not bad, no, but it sure isn't the best. And while Kaguya-sama does do this to an extent as well, the visual effect that it provides on top of it is what makes the viewing experience so much more interesting. It improves upon the panels from the manga and adds its own flair to it, something that I feel Komi-san has not been able to do well. By the way, if you have watched the show, have you seen it dubbed or subbed? This might be one of the only shows whose voice characters are fantastic in both dubbed and subbed. I mean, listen to this.
そうですか。はあ、そうですか。まあ、いいんじゃないか。お顔。マリアージュ。何？会長に猫耳ついただけなのに。他者にはともかく、かぐやにとってこれは最高の組み合わせ。私は知りたい。男同士の行為応援するべき、止めるべき。悩みドキドキドキドキドキ。藤原さんは何を言ってるの？But
I have to say that while the subbed version is amazing, it is lacking something. It is lacking a certain character that makes the show better by a massive margin. You know who that is? It's the fucking narrator, baby. The narrator in Kaguya-sama dubbed is the greatest anime narrator in history, no questions asked. I'm just going to leave these gems here.
The floor and ask her out casually! Maybe we can check it out together. See what Kitahai's been up to.
Oh my gosh! It's happening! Everybody, it's happening! Oh, what's she gonna say?
Our festival committee has it under control, so there's no need for that.
Oh, come on!
Guess so.
It's not like love is war and whoever gives their heart first is somehow conquered.
Hey, you get it? This is the title and the point of the whole story!
You will make Tsubame Koyasu yours.
Are you crazy? No way that could happen!
So then you won't even try? You would let your cowardice keep you from a possible relationship with this girl? I suppose I relate. But if you don't tell her, it'll go unresolved forever.
Spoken like someone who's kept her feelings locked up for the past 27 episodes!
The temptation to grill him for all the nitty-gritty details. Why, you ask? Because Kei Shirogane is a mother-flippin' tsundere.
But all of these can actually be said about any of the previous two seasons. Great OP? Check. Fantastic visuals? Check. Top tier vocals? Check. The narrative being the best?
Mother-flippin' tsundere.
Goddamn check. So what's setting this season apart? Stakes. Something that was missing in the previous seasons. By the way, this is where we actually start talking about major spoilers for the season. So here is a bit of a spoiler warning. As I mentioned before, this season is a race against time. Shirogane decides that he will be going to Stanford, and this might be the last time that he and Kaguya will be attending the school festival together. Kaguya also realizes that time is running out, so both parties decide to confess at the festival should the other not do so. And it's not only for the main characters either. Ishigami also decides to confess to his senpai, which he accidentally does without realizing, but that's beside the point. The scheming and plotting in the past two seasons all lead to this moment, and the final portion of the story arc begins. This is what makes this season so great for me. It still has the stupid ass episode that make your stomach hurt from laughing. The rap episode is exceptionally phenomenal. But towards the end is where we get the best that this season has to offer. I also love the ending of the series. It's fucking incredible, and to an extent, absolutely perfect. I could not think of any way to do it better. It is completely in character for President to go through the biggest elaborate scheme before asking Kaguya, and for Kaguya to keep thinking of ways to make Shirogane confess but keep failing. It is also great that technically, neither of them lost, because they didn't confess. Shirogane asked Kaguya to join him at Stanford, which Kaguya replied to with a kiss. A French kiss, to be exact. But they didn't confess. I also love Ino and Ishigami's little interactions, and Fujiwara is a delight as always. I think this is, no joke, the perfect way to end this series. Since this way, the result of the battle is everybody won. Ah shit. Okay, so I was very annoyed that they are making another season out of this. And I went to check the manga and it's still not finished? What? They held hands, they fucking kissed. I'm assuming they were in a relationship now. So what is this new season going to bring? Relationship problems? Couple therapy? A fucking divorce? I just don't see the point, right? And listen, I do love myself some Kaguya-sama. But I hope this doesn't become The Office type of case, where the show treads on longer than it ever had the right to, and ultimately might cause a little damage to the product itself. All my worries could be for nothing. From what I hear, the manga is still great, but I just don't know why we're continuing past the point of the emotional peak that the story might provide. But finally, what's the verdict? Is the show great or is it skippable? For me, Kaguya-sama Ultra Romantic is absolutely incredible. And while it does have some small flaws here and there, like Fujiwara or Ishigami not really having a character arc or the other love triangle not being resolved, I still think that this season cements Kaguya-sama's legacy as an incredible anime that everybody should watch. I give this season a 90%. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I'm very sorry for the lack of uploads. My exams have absolutely drained my life out of me and I have another exam coming up pretty soon. So I will also be uploading next towards the end of next month. After that, I promise there will be regular uploads, probably twice a month. So that will be fun. Thank you again so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, like the video if you haven't, and share it around with your friends. Why not? Give them a shot. Why not? Thank you again, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.